Hello preppers, welcome to Goshen Prepping. As time goes on, the federal government continuously pushes mandates, executive orders, laws, infringing on our rights. I'll be honest with you, and a lot of it is unconstitutional. Is there anything we can do about it? There is. Stick through this video, I want you to see this. First off, and I love this, do states have to listen to the federal government? This goes back to the beginning of the United States. The question whether a state can ignore or nullify federal legislation is almost as old as the Republic itself. Disputes going all the way back to the 1700s. So specifically, this article talks about, even though this video is not about this, specifically anti-gun control legislation that several state legislatures have passed, called the federal regulations invalid. In reality, in this case, states have no actual authority to nullify federal laws. But wait, there's more to it than just this. Because states are not entirely powerless to resist federal law. A state cannot simply nullify a law. However, here's the key. It can refuse to enforce it. And we've mentioned this on the channel before, by the way, that the federal authorities cannot tell the states or make the states enforce their federal laws. But yet, even more so, states can actually nullify some federal laws, but not all of them. And here's what you can get from this. In a nutshell, state officials need not enforce federal laws that the state has determined to be unconstitutional. We just talked about that. Nor may Congress mandate that states enact specific laws. But, and here's the problem, states may not block federal authorities who attempt to enforce federal laws unless there's a court that has specifically upheld that law as unconstitutional. And with that, individuals themselves are not exempt from prosecution by the federal government just because the state where they reside has legalized an activity or pronounced that federal law is unconstitutional. So what's this mean? Overall, states, they can determine certain federal laws to be unconstitutional and decide not to enforce that. We've seen this many, many times throughout history in which the states, and boy, it pisses off the federal government too, which makes me really, just puts a smile on my face. However, federal authorities can go in the state and arrest people under federal laws. Now, because the states are part of the federal government, part of the United States. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just simply saying that's how it works. Now, if a state does deem something to be unconstitutional and they don't enforce it, the federal government can still come in and arrest individuals on this case. So what we see basically a butting heads, or a tug of war going on between the states and the federal government. And not all states, by the way. There are some states, and unfortunately, I'm going to roll my eyes on this one. Michigan is one of those states. I love the state, but the government here is awful. And they're one of the ones that are like, oh, federal government, yes, we want to do everything that you say, especially over the past three years. Like, you know what? You can come in and go grocery shopping. You still can go to fast food and eat out, but you can't buy paint or garden supplies because of something they classify as being, I'm not going to go into that because they love shutting down our channel because of that kind of thing. But states can, and there are many states in the union who go against the federal government and say, you know what, just because you're putting this out doesn't mean we're going to follow it. So when we talk about the states going against the federal government, there's really multiple municipalities going against the state. It could be the state itself, the state governor, it could be the state police, etc. But that's not the only ones that we actually have in our corner, possibly in those situations. Again, not Michigan, but local police, county sheriffs. That's a whole different story. They will often go on our side because I mentioned this many times. I mean, obviously there are some local police, especially in cities, you may have a problem with. Maybe. I really stress that word maybe because the way I view local police, the way I view county sheriffs, those are our brothers and sisters. Those are people who are from our community working with us hand in hand, making it so the federal government doesn't have overreach against us. And I have a great example for that for you. And this is put out by ABC News. Wow, something actually good from that channel. A right-wing sheriff's group that challenges federal law is gaining acceptance around the country. But of course, when we see any major news network like ABC say that right-wing, immediately they do mean this as being condescending, by the way. A national group of sheriffs that claim top law enforcers in American counties are not bound by federal law has successfully spread its doctrine to dozens of states in recent years. Oh yeah, you go. Look, it's Michigan, Grand Rapids, excellent. The sheriff is supposed to be protecting the public from evil. And when your government is evil or out of line, that's what the sheriff is there for, protecting them from that. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying right there. I'm loving this group. Let's read more. It's a board of Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. They teach elected sheriffs must Listen to this. Protect their citizens from the overreach from an out-of-control federal government by refusing to enforce any law they deem unconstitutional or unjust. And they say the safest way to actually achieve that is to have local law enforcement understand that they have no obligation to enforce such laws. They're not laws at all anyway. If they're unjust laws, they are actually laws of tyranny. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. All these things happening in our modern times, all of our freedoms and rights being taken away as the federal government continues to push what they want to push against we the people. We do have people in our corner. We need to stand with them and try to spread this word as well. I know this is a prepping channel, and when it comes to preparedness, obviously we want to stockpile food and water, but it's also trying to keep our rights there so nobody can take them away from us. It's going against tyranny. So what I'm going to do is I want you to spread the word, and even more so, I'm going to put a link below for this organization so you can go and give them your support. And I don't mean even monetarily, by the way. I mean literally giving them support in helping organize events, because this is something that we, the people of the United States, need to go against the tyranny that is going against us right now.